We are back. It's 3 p.m. California time. Hello, how is everyone doing? Welcome back to Exploring with Ash and Jake. Today we're having an open live talking about clowns in the shadows. What really happened in 2013 with the clown pandemic? Remember the clown pandemic of 2013? That was the year people all over the world claimed that they saw clowns lurking in the woods, standing motionless outside homes, even chasing people down the roads. Was it real? Was it a prank? Or was it something sinister? Let's go ahead and get into it. So, to me, this feels like yesterday. I have an extreme fear of clowns, but at the same time, I'm also a horror enthusiast, and I absolutely love horror movies and clown movies, even though clowns do legit freak me out. Chlorophobia, or fear of clowns, isn't an irrational fear. Ever since people have seen the movie Poltergeist, where the clown attacked the child, it's just induced a lot of fear into people about clowns. Even in the early 90s, late 90s, they started to phase out Ronald McDonald from McDonald's under the pretenses that, oh, he's freaking people out. When children see him, they cry. But in reality, they phased out Ronald McDonald because he was a sinister person who had ulterior motives with children. But that's a story for another time. So a couple of you sent me some questions, so I'm going to answer some of those in the live. What sparked the 2013 clown sightings? In 2013, there was a mix of events, internet hype, and in Northampton, England, there was people dressed as clowns wandering the streets. It creeped people out. There was even college students dressed as clowns. So the media got wind of this frenzy that was happening in 2013, and they, like a match to a cigarette, they lit it. It just went wild. It was on Snapchat, it was on Facebook, it was on Instagram, it was on TikTok. Everybody for 2013 was talking nothing about it, even all the way up until I think like the end of 2016 was talking nothing about these clowns. And then it just became like a big deal overnight, like how videos go viral when people dance. It went viral. One little simple prank started everybody in this frenzy of, oh my God, we're all gonna die, like the world is being taken over by clowns. But in reality, I think that they were a big prank. Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about the clown pandemic of 2013. What were y'all doing in 2013 when this was happening? Did any clown episodes happen near you? If so, we'll definitely love to hear about it in the chat. Also, what's your favorite clown horror movie? Good morning. Is it morning time where you are? All in all, in total, during the clown terror pandemic reign from 2013 to 2016, there were about 12 people in total arrested. No serious crimes, but just 12 people were arrested. Mainly for trespassing, filing false reports, chasing or threatening people while dressed as clowns. Some of the sightings were pranks, hoax, other things exaggerated by children, but it was a mass hysteria back in 2013. Everybody who is anybody who has chlorophobia, which is a massive fear of clowns or being attacked by clowns, everybody was all over this. Every news outlet was eating this up. It was a 30% boost in revenue for most news outlets. And in fact, most haunted houses right around Halloween time have a 30% boost increase just due to having clowns as an attraction in their haunted house. Fun fact. So due to the clown pandemic of 2013, as a result of this, several movies came out. The Clown, Stitches, and The Terrifier. These are all following the clown pandemic of 2013 to 2016. They released several movies. But now in 2025, it's almost faded. You almost never hear about these scary lurking clowns in the woods or kind of really anywhere else for that matter, unless we get closer to Halloween. Then one or two stories pop up, it seems like every year. Theme park attractions really like to include clowns as well. I don't know, personally, I do not like clowns, but at the same time, I will also sit there and watch movies about clowns just to be scared. So it's a double-edged sword. A lot of the reason why haunted houses and other attractions use clowns is because fear sells. They feed off of the things that you're afraid of, they sell tickets, and in turn, they make a lot of money. Everybody remember when Child's Play came out, or Chucky, the movie about the doll that went around killing people? Yeah. I don't really care for that movie. I watched that movie when I was a kid and it gave me like nightmares just because I was always afraid that I was going to be killed by a doll. To me, it doesn't look like a doll. He looks like an ugly redheaded clown. But I am curious what everyone thinks about the clown pandemic. Even Twitter, Facebook, and a lot of other social media outlets were covering this pandemic. But like I said, you never hear anything about it now that we're in 2025, unless it's Halloween. And I think it's just to stir up like the craze, spirit of fall, spirit of Halloween, whatever you want to call it. I would be curious though to know if there's anything happening in your area related to these clown scares, or is it a prank? Is it mass hysteria? What do you think is going on with people and their fear of clowns? Is it people just being irrational? Or was this a carefully orchestrated prank to draw mass viral attention to all these clown movies that are coming out so they can in turn make good revenue? No, I'm not from Israel. I'm from the United States. Give you a little fun fact. So everyone knows the author Stephen King. He writes horror movies. They've made a couple movies based off of his books. I'm going to give you a fun fact about him. Stephen King's novels, Pennywise, were banned in several schools in the early 1990s for being too disturbing. And they said that it only made people's clown fears worse. So they wouldn't even let these books be in any of the schools because people were so petrified of clowns. I think that's just wild. Where are all my horror fans at in the comments? And what's your favorite horror movie? I personally like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's like one of my favorite clown movies. Did you guys ever see any of these clowns or know someone who did see or experience any of these run-ins with the clowns in 2013 through 2016? I'm just curious. I actually happened to live in an area where one of the incidents was going on. At the time, I did not have my driver's license. I was taking a public transportation, a bus home. And as my bus is pulling in to this bus stop to let me off to walk the half block to my house at the time because I was a high school student, there was a clown, like this guy dressed in a clown outfit that had polka dots on it with a bright red nose and this ugly orange hair. And he was wielding an axe and he was literally running towards the bus stop where I was about to get off. Talk about like trying not to pee yourself. Like I literally went down 2 more bus stops to get off to double back because I had seen a clown at the bus stop with an axe. And I'm like, I'm not going to die today at a bus stop with an axe wielding clown. But I've only ever had one run-in only with a clown. And I despise them. I really do. Anyone remember the movie Poltergeist from 1982 about the clown toy that attacked the girl? I feel like a lot of fear is stemmed from that movie. Are you saying that's your friend's name, or are you saying you're from Bangladesh? Not sure I understand your statement. I'm in my 30s. So what does everyone think who is following the clown pandemic or is still following the stories that have kind of died down? Do you think it was a hoax? Do you think it was a carefully orchestrated prank? How do you feel about the clown pandemic of 2013 to 2016? The reign of clown terror, as I like to call it. Oh yeah, it says good days. Good days ahead. It's a little trippy t-shirt that I got at Walmart. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who in the comments is afraid of clowns? Or do you think clowns are just a joke in general? I remember when, I'm old enough to remember when McDonald's had Ronald McDonald, and I went to one of their events that they had, because they used to hold events back in the 90s at some of the different McDonald's, and they had him dressed up as a clown. And I remember like standing in a crowd looking at this guy and thinking, there's something off about this guy, right? I don't know, I just, like, I can kind of look around the room and feel the energy. And so like if something says, my body tells me, my gut intuition tells me something's off about you, I won't talk to you. And it's not, I'm not passing judgment. I just, when my intuition says something's off, I trust it. So my mom's like, oh, go up and meet Ronald McDonald. I'm like, I'm not going to go meet this, bucktooth freak. And then about a week later, after I refused to meet him, thank God I did, they actually ended up arresting the guy who dressed up as Ronald McDonald because he was a child predator. Not because McDonald's phased him out because people was afraid of him, but because he was a pedophile. He preyed on children. He was a sicko. Nice. What's the weather there right now? Would you walk through a maze packed with clowns? A haunted maze packed with clowns, yes or no? I don't think I could handle that. I'd be like really afraid. I just have this memory embedded in my head. I was like, I think I must have been like 7 or 8 years old at the time. So this would have been like around 1998 or something like that. 1999. Basically almost, probably a little bit before that. Anyway, I went to go trick-or-treating. I was like 8 years old. And this guy was outside the back of his truck. And he was dressed like a clown, had a cigar in his mouth, had a chainsaw out, and was cutting or pretending to cut wood from the branches that he had cut down off of his tree for the fireplace. And when I went up to him to say trick or treat, I shit you not, I pissed myself because this guy chased me halfway down the street with his chainsaw and he was dressed like a clown. Never forget that. I don't personally care for clowns or people dressed as clowns. I don't find clowns cute. Are you talking about my shirt? It says good days ahead. It's just a little mushroom shirt. I always joke when I wear this. I always tell people there is fungus among us. because there is so much fungus on this earth. Fun fact about fungus, not related to the video, but this shirt made me think of it, is fungus is actually good for cleaning up oil messes around the world. I'm not sure about your last comment, what you're trying to say. I'm reading your comment and not really sure what you're trying to say. Oh, this was the episode you needed? You like horror stuff? You like clowns? Let's see. Let me look at another one of the questions that was sent in to me from so I let people email questions or post questions in the videos, and then I'll run through a list of them and I'll ask or answer questions sometimes that the viewers have. Do you think, so a viewer asked a question about this, do you think it's wrong that the schools in 1990 banned the Stephen King clown books from their library because of people being afraid of clowns? I mean, schools can do whatever personally they want to do. I'm not really going to weigh in on that because schools get so many books for their library that even if they don't have it in your library, you can always go out and get that book. So, I mean, that's really kind of my opinion on that. Bad dreams and nightmares kind of stem from your fears or things that you're worried and stressed about. So whether they take a book out of a library or not has nothing to do with whether or not you're going to be afraid of something. It's the Tree of Life. Yeah, I practice a lot of meditation, so the Tree of Life goes hand in hand with the evil eye, words off evil and bad energy. See, I'm trying to look, you guys have emailed me so many good questions, I might not have time for all of them. Why are people so afraid of Ronald McDonald the Clown? I kind of link it to that movie, The Poltergeist, honestly. After the toy clown attacked people, attacked the actor in the movie, even though it's just kind of like one of those made-up movies, I believe that movie is based off of some true events. So you just never know. First clown movie that I ever saw. Goodness. Well, I've seen a lot of clown movies. I guess the first clown movie that I ever saw would have to be It. But I did just recently watch again Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So I mean, there's so many different clown movies. But if you're looking for something to grip your seat, I would definitely watch It. Oh, is English your second language? No, I'm literally trying to read what you're saying, but you'll have to bear with me. I am slightly dyslexic, so I often reverse the words around in the sentence. I'm like literally trying to read what you're saying. What about everyone in the comments? What is the first horror movie with clowns in it that you've seen? I have not seen The Terrifier yet or Stitches. I did see the movie Clown, but it's been a while. So yeah, in 2025, the clown craze has completely faded. Well, not completely faded, but 95% died down. There are still some people that dress up as clowns and will go out there and scare and terrorize people for, shits and giggles. But I don't think that's anything related to the pandemic from 2013 to 2016 of the clowns. There is not a day that I don't drink water with either lemon or cucumbers in it. It alkalizes your body. I'm going to piece the lemon seed on my tongue. Let's see. What's another question that you guys asked me? Yeah, clowns are used. Yes, clowns are used in park attractions, marketing campaigns, and some low budget horror films. I did already answer that question. So the question was, where was I living? Actually, maybe I didn't answer that question. Where was I living when the clown pandemic of 2013 started happening? I was living in a small town, actually 4 hours away from where I live now, called Sonoma County. And I was living in a little town called Rohnert Park, California. And I was actually still in, well, I wasn't in high school. I actually had graduated high school, but I was living in that area still. At the time, just working at one of the local supermarkets. But let me tell you, they were trying to make it like martial law around the time when the clown pandemic was happening, and they were trying to get everybody to stay indoors when it got dark. Kind of like they did when COVID-19 was happening, how they tried to do martial law and make everyone stay inside to not spread the disease or whatever. It's funny. I look back on it now, and to me, that was like a funny time, a time in my life. But if I had to repeat it again, would it be funny? Probably not. Hello, welcome newbies. I am going to wrap up the live pretty soon though, because I do have to go get my kids from daycare. I do want to tell you a little bit about the next live video that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing an open live talking about Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park located in West Virginia. And it is a amusement park that was built inside of an abandoned cemetery. So I'm going to go and kind of do some research on that later so that we can have an open live talking about that. What is creepier than clowns? The next creepiest thing I would say would be having an amusement park in a cemetery. I don't know. I'd be afraid that it would be like super haunted, or weird things would happen. Who in their right mind would put a amusement park in a cemetery? But I mean, today, this amusement park that I'm speaking of, it is still in a cemetery, but it's very much shut down and abandoned. It's neglected, actually. I'm not even sure if all the structures are there or anything like that. The last time I looked at a recent picture of this Lake Shawnee amusement park in West Virginia, it was just like a rusty Ferris wheel. But people have been there, and they've said it's extremely haunted. So I can't wait to dig into that in our next video. How's everyone doing today? This afternoon, I should say. It's about 3:25 in the afternoon here. Obviously, I can see some people are on different time zones. Prescription glasses, can't see. I don't like how reflective they are, because the light definitely reflects off the glasses, making it harder to see. I just got another question. Let's see. Y'all just have so many good questions that you email me. Let's see, what does this question say? Okay, that's an interesting question. If someone paid me $1,000, would I sleep in an abandoned cemetery full of clowns? No, no, you couldn't pay me enough money. I love cemeteries, but you could not pay me enough money to be, whether the cemetery is, you know, alive and visited and upkept or abandoned. But with clowns, you could not pay me enough money to stay overnight in an abandoned cemetery with clowns. No, that's my next to like dolls killing me. That is like my absolute worst fear is clowns. No, no. You can keep your money. I would not be able to do that. Unfortunately, no, I don't give out my telephone number to anybody. I get too many spam calls. But I am on TikTok. We do have a paranormal channel on TikTok, Exploring with Ash and Jake YouTube. We're on TikTok and we're on Facebook as well. Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're handmade. They're handmade on a Cricut machine. It's actually pieces of wood, and then it's a vinyl cutout. Thank you. I take a lot of pride in the jewelry that I make. This is the third eye, or the evil eye. It protects you from evil and people's negative energy. And this is the Tree of Life. This is made by one of my friends. It's got all kinds of little crystals in it. Let me see if I can shorten this and show you guys. Isn't that pretty? It took my friends several hours to choose the stones and everything on here and wire wrap it. She is actually very good at what she does. She doesn't have her own shop. She just kind of creates jewelry a lot of times for fun. She's actually one of my close friends. She actually made this for me. I don't know if you can see this. It is a silver Tibetan spoon ring. So it's actually, at one point it was a spoon, and now it's a ring. So she makes all kinds of crazy jewelry. Yeah, it does look a little bit like a dream catcher. Except the difference between the Tree of Life and a dream catcher is a dream catcher will catch all your negative and bad energy, and it stays within that dream catcher. The Tree of Life is more just for people who meditate and practice Buddhism. It's just kind of give you a sense of peace, because people who meditate believe in opening their third eye and their chakras, and so they'll use a lot of crystals for like healing energy and peace. So a little bit of a difference. Also, Tree of Life has nothing to do with Native Americans versus the Tree of versus dream catchers, which are most of the time made by Native Americans. And there's like a whole story that you can go online and look up about dream catchers. They're beautiful. I've seen some of the most beautiful dream catchers out there, like ever. I go to a lot of the little community markets or farmers markets, and there will be people there selling handmade dream catchers that take them hours to make. There's even a couple people on TikTok that make a lot of dream catchers and Native American jewelry. If you're interested, you should check out Jess Rodriguez on TikTok. He makes beautiful Native American jewelry and just a different assorted Native American things. I do, yeah. About 2-3 days ago, was it? I did a whole live video where I showed everybody about 50% of my rock collection with crystals in it. I showed you what was in my living room, my bathroom, my bedroom, but in truth, that wasn't even all of it. Like both my windows on both sides of me, going this way, are all lined with different stones that I never showed you because I'm crazy. My rock collection needs its own house. I say crazy in a loving way. I'm not like, you know, I'm not out there or anything like that. But I guess I'm crazy for rocks. I love rocks. Yeah, I like to accessorize. I think it's fun accessorizing clothing and jewelry, and each piece has its own, you know, unique story. You have an amethyst ball? That's so cool. Yeah, I just recently got a really nice chunk of amethyst from a rock and gem show that I went to. I used to have a dream catcher. I think like in one of my moves, I left it hanging in the window of where I lived. But who doesn't like a good crystal or a good stone? You know? You're never too old to have some like far out there hobby. When I'm not sitting here doing YouTube and I'm not sitting here working, I'm usually playing with a good old hard light-hearted like joke on my husband. Sometimes he doesn't think my jokes are funny, but I think I'm a hoot. I guess that's why women live longer than men. Don't tell your man I said that. When I was a kid, I loved collecting crystals with my aunt. I'll never forget those times. I'm 5'3". You trying to size me up to see how big of a hole you need to bury me? Just kidding. Like I said, I have jokes for days. That's what I always used to tell people. When I hug them, I would hug them to see how big of a hole I needed to dig. Joking. But yeah, no, you're never too old to collect crystals, rocks, fossils. I collect all kinds of things. And no, I don't consider that to be hoarding. At one point, I used to have a really awesome snow globe collection. I had like, God, 354 snow globes, and then I ended up giving them to somebody. And some of them actually were really cool ones that had like Michael Myers inside of it, or Jason, or Pennywise the Clown. Some of them were really unique, and some of them were just straight up like some of the ugliest snow globes you've ever seen. I am curious to the person who lives in Bangladesh. So, what does your guys' movie theater look like when you go to the movie theater? Obviously, it's in your language, but is the film vastly different than if you would see it in the US? Like Pennywise? If anybody has any suggestions or anything that they want me to cover in the lives, let me know as well. I'm always open to kind of talking about a variety of different things as long as they follow YouTube guidelines, because they do. If they don't follow their guidelines, they censor it. Yeah, at one point I wanted to get, call me crazy, but at one point I wanted to get a tattoo of Pennywise. I thought it'd be kind of fun. Let's see. You guys keep popping up questions on my computer. I have to have a little snack while I'm talking to you guys. My blood sugar is starting to go. And when my blood sugar goes down, it's not fun. I'm not diabetic, but my blood sugar does crash a lot. I think it's due to the fact that I walk 8 miles every day prior to going to work. I'm trying to look and see, make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions. I don't want anyone to feel left out, so I'm looking at what y'all have emailed me. That's a good question. Do I feel that culture increases the fear hype around clowns? Yeah, I do. I do. Because social media and businesses thrive off of people's fears and insecurities, and they use that as a way to make revenue. Why do you think haunted houses exist? Haunted houses is one of the greatest cultural fun fear factor things that exist, and they make 30% revenue every year, if not more, off of us, because people like haunted houses. They like to get their adrenaline up there. They like to be scared and not scared at the same time, and they prey off that fear and make money. Haunted houses are a prime example of that. So are horror movies. I'm not sure I understand this person's question. I'm looking at my screen, but I'm also looking at my computer because people have emailed me some questions. I do think that there is a popularity or extreme interest with killer clowns or people dressing up in clown costumes because it's fun to scare people. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, I try to maintain like a low-key thing. I'm not big on name brands. Don't like those. I just kind of like being myself. And so I'm not going to sit there and wear Nike or Puma or anything like that. And it's not to hate on people who like name brand stuff. I'm just not a name brand person. I just like low-key stuff. Like I like a lot of tie-dye. I like a lot of just interesting arrays of like, patterns and stuff. And I like to upcycle a lot of things too. Oh, that's another good question. So during the clown pandemic reign from 2013 to 2016, do I feel like people falsified a lot of reports? Yeah, everybody wants their 5 minutes of fame. So it is very more than likely, yeah, and it's even been stated in a couple news articles, yes, that people, children's imagination run away with them, and they'll say they see things, and then they'll later go on to recant it. But the problem with when you falsify these police reports, not only are you wasting taxpaying dollars, but you're wasting the time of police that could be out, handling real crimes when you're falsifying these reports. But also people want their 5 minutes of fame. So sometimes people are going to do, what they're going to do. And if police departments catch you filing a false report and it's not under good faith or good oath or anything like that, yeah, they can actually press charges. I actually worked with somebody when I was doing security back west in a hospital, working 12-hour shifts. He had told the hospital that, and this was during the pandemic, the clown pandemic, he told people that there was a clown outside welding a shotgun. They immediately locked the hospital down. Nobody could come in, nobody could go out, people couldn't leave. And it was like a lockdown for freaking 3 hours while they were reviewing video footage and what have you. And turns out, I guess the guy had like some sort of panic attack or whatever at work because the stress was getting to him. So he made up this whole story, and then they ended up firing him. So long story short, just don't waste police resources. Do I think that some of these clown scares were pranks? Absolutely. In fact, I would say that I feel like the clown pandemic from, like I said, 2013 to 2016 was initiated by one person playing a prank, maybe scaring a friend in a clown costume, and then other people go, oh, well, this went, viral overnight. They have 55,000 likes. Let me do something else to scare other people. So absolutely. Do I think that a lot of it was initiated from pranks? Absolutely. 120%, without a doubt. People love pranks, and sometimes they take a good prank too far. Do I think that there was a lot of mass hysteria surrounding the clown pandemic? Yeah, I do, because people are afraid of a lot of different things, and when that fear is out there and they're telling you X, Y, and Z is happening, Some people just kind of like get over the top anxious and then they escalate things beyond what they really are. So they'll take a molehill and make it into a mountain when it's just a molehill. If you know that metaphor, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like my parents growing up said that metaphor to me way too much, and now as an adult, I like overuse that metaphor. It's cringe, but obviously I love my parents because I literally regurgitate some of the metaphors that they told me. Okay, here's a fun fact that was sent in by one of you guys watching. The actor who plays Art the Clown in The Terrifier, he studied real-life serial killers to make sure that he could be as disturbing as possible. The result was one of the most terrifying downs in horror history. And so people know him for his role in Art the Clown. And his behavior and acting skills in this movie are based off of real-life serial killers, John Wayne Gacy. If you don't know, go look it up, but quick blurb about him is that he was a serial killer clown. He would entertain kids at birthday parties, dress up as a clown, but also killed on the side. Now that one is like a, whew, that story is a hard one to tell. So I'm not gonna tell it because that one makes me very emotional. But go look it up. It's very interesting at the same time if you like true crime. Also, I did do a story on that, not a live, but there is also a video on my channel as well about John Wayne Gacy, where I do talk a little bit about this lunatic. I'll call him that's all I'm gonna say. He's a lunatic. But I don't think that you should give up on your collecting of crystals and things like that because they're fun. It's a fun hobby, you know? It's a fun hobby. And no two rocks or crystals look alike. That is a bizarre question. Okay. Let me think about how to answer that one. So the question is, do I think that chlorophobia, which is fear of clowns, is related to mental illness? No, I don't think fears and mental illness go hand in hand. I think they're totally separate because mental illness can be related to family genetic disorders or chemical imbalances in your brain or from like past, like really intense past trauma that's not dealt with. But fears come from like things that happen, memories that we try to suppress or things that like real life encounters that have happened to us. So no, I don't think fear of clowns and mental illness are related at all. That's a very good question though. That's a question I've never been asked before. That's a very, it's a little out there question. I think that's a bit of an unhinged question in my opinion. But I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. I don't pretend to be one. But for $24.95, Google says I'm one. Just kidding. I make a joke about that because there is a doctor. I can't remember if it was a man or woman. Like 6-7 months ago, I think it was. They were in the news. They went on Google and bought a freaking PhD, and it was a legit PhD that said that they were a doctor and they were going in and working at gynecologist offices and stuff, and they paid like $24.95 or something like that off Google for their degree to find out that this person was just a pervert in impersonating doctors, gynecologists in particular. So yeah, bad joke, but now that you know the backstory, you might understand it. Okay, let's see. Next question. That's kind of a repeated question, but I'll do my best, and maybe I answered that one, maybe I didn't. Do I think that pop culture and media fuel fear of chlorophobia? I think your surroundings play a lot into things that you're afraid of. And yeah, I think social media has a lot to do with people's fears and can influence your fears. But at the end of the day, um, I think it's based off of your personal experiences, each individual person, as to what you're going to be afraid of and, not afraid of. Um, Social media, on the other hand, can be really addictive, like mentally, and it can influence a lot of what you believe, think, see, experience. It may even make you question realities sometimes. But I think they may have a small, like a piquito, a small play in people's fears. Yes. But I do think I answered that one before already. Let's see. So I'd like to hear from some of you what your questions are related to the clown pandemic. Have you experienced anything yourself? Has anyone you know experienced anything? Are you afraid of clowns? You're not afraid of clowns? Do you think clowns are ridiculous? If someone paid you $1,000, would you stay overnight in an abandoned cemetery full of clowns? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that is true. Okay, so this one's not a question, but it's rather a statement. Do I think that the, or do I believe that the news increase their revenue during this time? Yeah, so I do believe that social media and news outlets everywhere climbed on this overnight ladder of the clown pandemic. And yes, they did use it to boost their social status in the stock market. Because most of the time the news is boring. Unless there's something exciting happening, nobody really cares about what's happening, if it's not prevalent to what's going on in our life. So yeah, I think they climbed on this, on the monkey's back, so to speak, and they really blew it out of the water with this clown pandemic. And yeah, I do think that it helped them financially, because a lot of these news outlets were not really doing great at the time of this clown pandemic, and then they all capitalized on it. That's why a lot of these news outlets will go and they'll find, like, you know, the person who has 80,000, whatever, 80 million viewers or whatever on their video, and they'll figure out a way to work that into whatever they're talking about on the news. It boosts their views, which boosts their revenue. Did you know? Um, this is funny. I'm gonna read this comment out loud. That's I got so high on weed, I went like Michael Myers on a Spam can. I'm just picturing what that looks like. I'm just getting this hilarious picture, in my mind of you trying to open a can of Spam, like with your teeth, because you're like that, because you've got the munchies. I could not get it. I could not get it out of the can. I don't mean to laugh, because like when I get the munchies, which everyone does get the munchies if they have, too much of that devil's lettuce, um, they'll eat everything in sight. Like when I get the munchies, I will eat everything in sight. Usually it starts with peanut butter, and then I move on to Nutella, and then somewhere along the way it ends up with mustard on potato chips, and eating a whole bag of popcorn to myself, and then maybe secretly wanting to sneak out in the middle of the night and get Taco Bell. So I get it. I get it. But yeah, I have to learn to rein that back in, because my stomach usually ends up hurting within 5 minutes of getting the munchies. And then it's like hell to pay for the next 3 days. looking outside. I have my blinds open and they have somebody walking by. They're giving a tour where I live because we just had a tenant move out. So now there's a empty apartment available. I just don't like when people linger in front of my window. That's funny though. That's a trip. Blended coffee drinks. Yeah, they're good. And you know why they're good is because it is an appetite suppressant. So when you eat it, it makes it to where you're not eating everything in sight. Like if you eat a frozen coffee drink, it's an appetite suppressant. But also really, the munchies depends on how much you're eating. How much you're smoking as to how much you're gonna want to eat. Or if you're not smoking, if you're eating an edible. Yeah, funny. It's my mom calls it the devil's lettuce. She is like a big full-on like Christian, so she doesn't do any of that, and she swears that she's never done any of that, which I call bullshit on. I do. I like a good blended coffee drink, like a caramel macchiato, or just blended coffee drinks in general. I used to be a big Starbucks fan, and then I stopped going. Now I just go to Dutch Brothers. I guess the reason why I like them better than Starbucks is Starbucks don't give out no free stickers. So like once a month, if you have Dutch Brothers in your area, they give out free stickers every single month. This last time around, they gave out really cool bracelets that were hand beaded. And they were pretty tight. So I like going there. Plus, their drinks are like 2 to 3 times bigger than Starbucks. And Starbucks technically, as somebody who used to work at a Starbucks, they technically cheat you, but not really supposed to share that. Like, so when you're getting charged for a small, medium, or large drink at Starbucks, I'm just going to say this because Dutch Brothers don't do this. They put ice in there. So the majority of your drink is actually ice. So if you're getting a small, medium, or large, you're still getting a small. Doesn't matter if it's in a medium or a large drink container. It's because the majority of your drink is ice. And if you actually cap the ice in there and pour the drink out, you're not actually getting what you pay for. They're actually ripping people off. Spam is good. My go-to thing used to be Spam and Reese's. I don't know why, but yeah, Spam and Reese's. Not anymore though. It's more like an array of different things. But in particular, it's Taco Bell lately. I really like Taco Bell. Although I wish they'd get some new things on their menu because it's been a minute since they had anything new on their menu. Let's see if there's any more questions I missed from you guys. So I guess what started, overall started the clown pandemic of 2013 through 2016. It started in Northampton, England. There was a person dressed in a clown attire who was spotted wandering the streets. Later to find out, and people were creeped out by this, later to find out it was actually a college student trying to cheer up a dying child by recreating Pennywise the Clown. And then it just kind of took on a life of its own, with clowns popping up in the woods and on the side of the road, in bushes, lingering in front of people's apartment complexes, and so on and so on. And it led people to be very, like, inherently, like, paranoid about clowns. No, and I don't blame a lot of people. The fear is real, you know? It's like, what is that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? I think it's Inception, I think is what it's called, where he goes and he enters like people's dreams and then it shows all the things that like people are afraid of. I feel like the fear of clowns would be something like similar to Inception, because people have valid reasons to be afraid of things and it can take a long time to get over those fears and work through them. So, what did you eventually use to get your can of Spam open? I'm just curious. You used a fork. I remember one time, so I was mid-can opening, what was it? I was opening tuna. And mind you, I don't really like tuna now. I can't stand it. The smell makes me gag. But I was opening up a can of tuna and my, my can opener decided to break mid-opening the can. So I had to sit in there and carefully slide in a pocket knife to open up the dang on can of tuna. And then as soon as I got it open, I no longer wanted the tuna, because it just took too much work to get the can open. You sliced a section out of it. I can believe that. When you file down, not that I've ever been to prison, but I've heard a lot of prison stories. When you file down a spoon, it's actually a pretty decent serrated weapon. I mean, if you file down a spoon, you could kill somebody with it. Not that I advise doing that, but you could kill somebody with a spoon. Just go look up the story of the island of Alcatraz and the crazy things that people did to escape. They have a whole like showcase of like just different weapons that people use for digging and what have you. That's funny though. I cannot get over the your little Spam can story. I can't get over that. I've done some pretty crazy things when I've had the munchies, but I think that one takes the cake. I remember the first time ever, that I tried the devil's lettuce. That's what I'm gonna call it because I just think that's funny. I thought that my head fell off, and I had a pair of sunglasses up here on my head. And I had like a pair of headphones around my neck. And so we're going to the park, and I had smoked myself stupid. That's what we're gonna call it. I was a teenager at the time, first time ever trying it. And I was so stupid high that my glasses fell off my head, and I thought my head fell off. And I was down on the ground, like looking around for my head, my glasses. And then I found them, put them back on, and then I'm going like this, pretending to like screw my head back on. And my friend's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, my head fell off." And she's like, "No, your glasses fell off your head." I'm like, "No, my head fell off, silly. Look, I'm screwing my head back on." And to this day, we all still laugh about it. She never lets me forget that I told her my head fell off, which is physically impossible unless you have like weak muscles in your neck. It's physically impossible for your head to fall off. But funny story. I also remember the second time in my life that I, like, after taking a break and trying it the first time, I tried it again, and I watched this movie with like subtitles on it. I think it's called y'all, if you all know the filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan, he made a movie called Hidden Lion, Crouching Tiger. So I was like really kind of out of sorts after engaging in smoking the devil's lettuce, and Uh, so the subtitles were still going on the screen and the guy had stopped talking. So I'm like, oh, like, you know, his mouth is moving, but no words are coming out. And I started laughing and laughing hysterically because I thought it was the funniest thing in the entire world. Because, like I said, the subtitles don't always match up with when they try to put it in English over whatever their actual language is. So I about died. I about busted a gut on the floor laughing, watching Hidden Lion, Crouching Tiger. If you haven't seen that, it's an amazing movie. Got a lot of martial arts in it, got a lot of sword fighting. It's great. You should watch it. I highly recommend it. Like 10 out of 10. That movie, hands down. Whew, great special effects and everything. You know, and every time I engage in this, I always like come up with some crazy invention. Like one time I swore after engaging in the devil's lettuce, I swore that I had invented this see-through raincoat that had flashing lights in it that would kind of show all kinds of different designs with the snap of your fingers. You know, like the clap on, clap off light, but you'd snap your fingers and the raincoat would like change designs. And I swore that I invented this see-through light up raincoat that had cool designs on it. Come to find out, when I kind of became sober, I in fact did not invent this raincoat. It was all in my head and it was an unpatented idea. But yeah, I was so full of myself that I thought that I had invented this thing. But I do come up with some pretty interesting inventions or food creations. That's for sure. And one time I made my friend try, and I don't, if you don't like mixing sweet and salty, I don't recommend trying this, but I had her try a grilled chocolate chip cheese sandwich. So basically you put like chocolate chips, like the larger ones, not the mini ones, in a sandwich with ham and cheese, and you melt it like a toasty. I think that's what they call it in Australia, but it's a grilled cheese sandwich with chocolate chips on it and ham. I swear, craziest thing I ever came up with in my life, but so sweet, so salty, so good. So I'm gonna go back and look, make sure I didn't miss any questions from anybody before I go ahead and end the live, because I do have to get ready to go pick up my kids. Okay, it looks like I got everyone's questions, but I do want to remind you, our next open live, we're going to be talking about Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park in West Virginia and how they built a amusement park with carousels and everything inside of a cemetery. So that is going to be one of our upcoming videos. As soon as I do a little bit more research on that, we'll be doing an open live. So if you've heard anything about that, let me know. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in for our live video on the clown pandemic of 2013 through 2016, and have a great evening. Bye for now.